Sarah was a strikingly beautiful 23-year-old who had recently moved to the bustling city of Sydney, Australia. It was an exciting yet overwhelming change for her, having lived her whole life in a small, rural town in Kangaroo Valley. The shift from a quiet countryside to a large, dynamic city was challenging, but Sarah embraced it as an opportunity for a fresh start. Her family, especially her father, had supported her decision, offering financial help to ensure she could set up her new life. Sarah quickly settled into a modest apartment complex nestled on the outskirts of the city, near a sprawling forest. The forest's proximity brought a comforting sense of home to Sarah, reminding her of the peaceful and lush environment she had grown up in. She was grateful for the little money her parents had given her, and although things were tight financially, she was hopeful that her new life in Sydney would lead to great things. One day, Sarah's new friend, Riley, called her in a panic. He had just found a snake hiding in his closet and had no idea how to handle the situation. He remembered that Sarah had mentioned her experience with snakes, so he reached out to her, hoping she could help. She had been living in Kangaroo Valley with her husband, Ale, a man she thought she loved deeply. Ali's behavior became increasingly controlling and abusive. He grew angry whenever Sarah spoke about her snake-catching work, and even more so when she interacted with her pet snake, a creature that had been with her since before their marriage. One night, in a drunken rage, Ali lashed out at Sarah, blaming her for all his problems, including his failing business. He hit her and threatened that if she didn't get rid of her snakes, she would regret it. Frightened and unsure of what to do, Sarah endured several more months of emotional and physical abuse before finally deciding she had to leave. She secretly planned her escape, buying a plane ticket to Sydney and hiding it in her purse. But Ale, who had grown increasingly paranoid and suspicious, found the ticket. They had a massive fight, with Ali once again under the influence of alcohol. "I won't beg you to stay," he spat. "Get out and take that filthy snake with you." That same night, Sarah left. She fled the toxic marriage, boarding the plane to Sydney with nothing but her suitcase and her beloved pet snake. She vowed never to look back, determined to build a new life in the city. For the next few months, Sarah adjusted to her new life in Sydney. She was fascinated by the wildlife and even began volunteering at a local animal rescue center. Her expertise with snakes quickly became known among her friends and colleagues. They marveled at her bravery and talent, often asking her to recount stories of her snake-catching adventures. However, life took a tragic turn one day when Riley received a call from Sarah's landlord. Sarah had been found lifeless in her apartment. The cause of death was unclear, and there were no signs of foul play or forced entry. Sarah's pet snake, unharmed and coiled peacefully in its enclosure, had been found near her. The news was devastating to all who knew her, and no one could comprehend how someone so full of life could be gone so suddenly. Ali, still legally her husband, attended the funeral. He wasted no time in pointing fingers, blaming Sarah's death on her pet snake. It must have bitten her. I told her those things were dangerous, he declared to anyone who would listen. But Sarah's parents, particularly her father, were skeptical. They knew their daughter's bond with her snake, and they couldn't believe it would harm her. The funeral took place in Sarah's hometown of Kangaroo Valley, where friends and family gathered to say their final goodbyes. As they lowered Sarah's body into the grave, her pet snake slithered forward, as if sensing its owner's presence. The snake coiled around Sarah's arm in a gesture that appeared both affectionate and protective. Ali, disgusted by the sight, demanded that the snake be removed. "Get that vile creature away from her," he shouted. But Sarah's father, a seasoned snake handler, saw something different. He noticed the snake's unusual behavior. It seemed agitated, not towards Sarah, but towards Ali. The usually docile animal was on edge, and it sparked a deep suspicion in him. Curiosity took over, and he bent down to touch Sarah's hand, only to feel warmth beneath the dirt. Shocked, he wiped away more dirt from her face, calling out to her, "Sarah, can you hear me? Please wake up." To the astonishment of everyone present, Sarah gasped for air and opened her eyes. She had been buried alive but was still clinging to life. Pandemonium erupted as attendees screamed in disbelief. Ali, who had been watching from a distance, turned pale with horror and fled the scene. Sarah was quickly taken to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that she had been poisoned but had miraculously survived. As Sarah recovered, the police launched an investigation into her near-death experience. It didn't take long for the pieces to fall into place. Evidence emerged that Ali had been stalking Sarah ever since she left him. He had gained access to her apartment by convincing the landlord that he was still her husband, and one night, he had slipped poison into her food. His plan was to make it look like Sarah had died from natural causes, or worse, from a snake bite. The police apprehended Ali, and during the trial, his guilt became clear. The jury found him guilty of attempted murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Sarah, now free from his clutches, returned to Kangaroo Valley to heal, surrounded by the love and support of her family. In the weeks that followed, Sarah reflected on her journey. She had escaped an abusive marriage, survived a near-death experience, and uncovered the truth about the man she once thought she loved. Despite the trauma, Sarah found strength in her resilience. She continued her work with animals, dedicating herself to helping creatures in need, just as she had always done. The memory of her pet snake's loyalty remained with her, a reminder of the bond they shared. It was not just an animal but a protector, one that had sensed danger long before she did. Sarah's story spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of survival, courage, and the unwavering connection between humans and the creatures they love.